Remember being 12 years old and playing football with your friends? No adults, no coaches, just you and the neighborhood kids you wanted to beat in your favorite sport. Who were you in the backyard?
Yeah, here we go! Yeah, here we go!
Were you Tom Brady? Were you J.J. Watt? Maybe you were a Hall of Fame legend that you never saw play, but you knew they were awesome. That's the kind of player that Jared Goff chose as his football hero. Jared Goff still wears that number today, number 16. One NFL quarterback made the number 16 legendary, and that was Joe Montana. Montana was in his last season in the NFL when Goff was born in October of 1994, and Joe Montana wasn't on the San Francisco 49ers anymore. He ended his career with the Kansas City Chiefs, and Montana was number 19 in Kansas City. But Jared Goff was a California kid. He grew up a 49ers fan, and he idolized the best players in Niners history, Joe Montana. Goff played football in high school, and of course was the star at Marin Catholic High School in Kentfield, California. Goff showed extreme talent and potential throughout his high school football career. He was a 3-year starter and led Marin Catholic to a 39-4 record and one state championship appearance. Major college offers poured in from across the country. University of Miami, Southern Cal, Stanford, Boston College, Cal Berkeley were some of his offers. Being from California, he chose to play close to home at the University of California, Berkeley. Cal is also the same college that future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers played for. Goff continued to hone his skills and talents at Berkeley. He started as a true freshman. He set 26 records at Cal and is only second to Aaron Rodgers in passing efficiency at Cal. As a freshman, Goff started all 12 games, but the team's record was abysmal. They finished with a 1-11 record, but even through that season, they knew they had their quarterback. Goff set 5 single-season passing records for the Golden Bears in his first year as a starter. The process of winning was slow, but Goff continued to shine. His sophomore year, the Golden Bears improved, but still lost more than they won, finishing with a 5-7 record. Goff continued his individual momentum, though, with another season of breaking school records.
Sam, with due respect, you see Goff completing his pass to Anderson.
Goff's junior year was the first time the team finished over 500 during his time in the driver's seat as the quarterback. Cal finished 7-5 and had a winning record for the first time in 4 years. Goff also set Cal's single-game record of 542 yards in a 48-46 come-from-behind win against Arizona State. Cal accepted the offer to play in the 2015 Armed Forces Bowl, where they beat Air Force 55-36. Goff threw 6 touchdown passes in that game. He also earned first-team All-Pac-12 honors and was the first Cal quarterback since Aaron Rodgers to be selected. While the wins started coming, Goff and his team failed to beat any of Cal's in-state rivals. He was 0-9 against Southern Cal, UCLA, and Stanford. They were also 0-3 against their division rival, Oregon. These losses motivated Goff to keep grinding. He wanted to win the big games, and it hadn't happened, not yet. Meanwhile, the who's who of the NFL draft had a quarterback at the top of their draft boards. Both Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay listed Jared Goff as the number 1 quarterback in the draft and projected him to go as a top 10 pick. With the seeming wind of draft talks at his back, Goff decided to skip his senior year and enter the NFL draft. He left Cal with almost 100 touchdown passes in 3 years. He had 96, which was a school record.
195 pounds, now he's up to 217. He took all that punishment, and he kept coming back for more and more and more. 2 years ago, he went to Evanston, Illinois to play Northwestern. They were an underdog. He led him to an upset victory there. Played against Utah this year. Thought, okay, this game Cal can win. He wasn't very good, but he kept on going out there and just attacking. Came up short in the end, got him down to about the 30-yard line. But I think you look at Jared Goff. He's filled that frame out. He's 6'4". He can spin it, and I think it's all about dealing with clutter in the pocket. He does it as well as anybody.
When draft day finally came, his hard work paid off. Goff was the number 1 overall pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, going to the Los Angeles Rams. He signed a 4-year deal worth $27.9 million in guaranteed money. Goff didn't start immediately for the Rams. He was the backup behind Case Keenum, but in the 10th game of the season, Goff got his chance to lead the team. He didn't win any of the games he started that season, and the Rams finished with a 4-12 record. Things came together for Goff's second season when the Rams fired head coach Jeff Fisher. The new coach, Sean McVay, was a young, energetic, and offensive genius compared to Coach Fisher, who was an old-school defensive coach. This was just what Goff needed to get going. In the season opener against the Indianapolis Colts, Goff was 21 of 29 passing for 306 yards and a touchdown. This was Goff's first 300-yard game and the Rams' first win of the season. This win started a momentum for the Los Angeles team that would propel them to the playoff and Super Bowl seasons. The Rams won the NFC West division that season for the first time since 2003. Goff was also named to his first Pro Bowl. A wild-card playoff loss to the Atlanta Falcons ended the season for Goff and the Rams, but Goff had made a name for himself as one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, and he earned his first trip to the Pro Bowl. Continuing his climb, his third season would be his best year yet. In 2018, the Rams won the division again with a 13-3 record, and Goff would be voted to the Pro Bowl for the second year in a row. But Goff and the Rams got something better than a division title and Pro Bowl selection. The Rams defeated both the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints, earning a trip to the Super Bowl to square off against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Super Bowl 53, however, would not be the triumph Goff and the Rams were hoping for. It was arguably the ugliest Super Bowl in recent memory. It was a game dominated by both defenses, and the two teams combined for only 16 points. The final score was New England 13, LA Rams 3. Goff had made it to the main stage, but the Rams could not pull it out against Tom Brady and the dynasty that was the New England Patriots. Goff was the number one pick in his draft class. He had taken his team to the Super Bowl and now was ready for a new contract. Despite not winning the Super Bowl, Goff got paid, and paid well. The Rams signed him to a contract extension worth $134 million with $110 million guaranteed. At the time, it was the highest amount of guaranteed money for an NFL contract. But the 2019 season wasn't great for the Rams. Like many teams that lose the previous Super Bowl, the Rams failed to make the playoffs and finished with a 9-7 record.
In this game, and Ndamukong Suh, a former Ram, is in the end zone to seal it for Tampa Bay.
The 2020 season seemed to turn the tide from the Super Bowl hangover season for number 16 and the Rams. They beat the Dallas Cowboys in their season opener, which was also their first win in the new state-of-the-art stadium, SoFi Stadium. Goff started 15 games and led the Rams to a 9-6 record, but he was injured with one game to go in the regular season. A broken thumb, a small bone to break, but ended up being a big deal in the trajectory of his future with the team. He watched his team win their season finale and then was a backup quarterback for the wild-card round in the playoffs. The Rams had to travel to their divisional rival, the Seattle Seahawks, in a must-win playoff matchup. The teams had split their regular season meetings with both home teams winning their home matchup, which wasn't a good sign for the Rams, especially with Goff sidelined. During the first quarter, Rams quarterback John Wolford suffered a neck injury that sidelined him, and Goff was back in the game. With the broken thumb, Goff wasn't great, but he led the Rams to beat Seattle. He even threw for a touchdown, although he was less than 50% for his passes due to the thumb injury. The divisional round took the Rams to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field to face Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers. Goff's passing percentage was much improved from the previous game at 77%. However, he was limited to shorter throws, and the Packers ended up being victorious, winning 32-18 and ending the Rams season. And with it, number 16's time with the LA Rams. The 2021 offseason delivered a huge shakeup in LA. In a stunning move, the team traded Goff to the Detroit Lions, one of the worst teams in the NFL at the time, for Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford, 2 first-round picks, and 1 third-round pick. After playing in the Super Bowl just 3 seasons earlier, the message was loud and clear to Jared Goff. The Rams management felt they had a Super Bowl roster. They just needed a different quarterback to lead them to a championship. Now, Jared Goff, a California kid, was going to call Detroit, Michigan home. The 2021 season was rough. The season included a loss to the Rams in Los Angeles. Goff hoped to show the Rams that they had made a mistake by trading him. But after guiding the Lions to a 13-10 lead in the second quarter, the Rams took over and Goff and his pack of Lions clutched defeat from the jaws of victory. Matthew Stafford outplayed Goff in every area of quarterback play. Stafford threw for more yards, more touchdowns, and no interceptions. Goff threw 2 interceptions that day. To cap off this season, Goff's former team, the LA Rams, not only beat them in the regular season, but went on to win the Super Bowl with the man who had replaced him at the helm. The Los Angeles Rams were Super Bowl champions their first season without Goff. Detroit ended with a terrible record in 2021. However, they lost 5 games by a touchdown or less, and they even tied the Steelers 16-16. But they finished with a record of 3-13-1. Had the Lions won those close games, they would have finished 8-8-1. By hypothetically also winning the tie against Pittsburgh, they would have been 9-8 for the year. The old saying about the NFL is that it's a game of inches. Nothing demonstrates that more than the Lions' 2021 season. While it was devastating not only for the Lions, but particularly for number 16, there were flashes in the season that showed promise. But with fiery Dan Campbell as the coach and a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder, Goff and the Lions put their heads down and got to work. 2022 started out the same as was 2021 for Detroit. The Lions lost 3 of their first 4 games by 4 points or less. Goff was frustrated after coming from the rising star of the LA Rams and watching his team win the Super Bowl without him, now in Detroit, and grasping at wins that just weren't coming. But after a 1-7 start, things started clicking for Goff and the Lions. They won 3 in a row, then they lost a game to Buffalo by only 3 points. Then the Lions won 3 more games. After 2 wins to finish the season, Detroit was 9-8. While they missed the playoffs that season, it was a winning season in Detroit, and that hadn't happened very often. Not only were the Lions over 500, but Goff was also voted to the Pro Bowl, the 3rd one in his career. The 2023 season opened with the Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, in one of the toughest places to play, Arrowhead Stadium. Through the roaring fans of Arrowhead for the reigning Super Bowl champs, Goff led Detroit to a stunning upset victory against Mahomes and the Chiefs on their home turf. Goff even outplayed Mahomes with a higher passing percentage and more passing yards. Goff did not throw an interception, while Mahomes threw a pick 6. This victory for the Lions ignited conversations all around the league about what was happening in Detroit and the changing culture to one of victory in a city that was hungry for it. The Lions came out like a house on fire. After 8 weeks, they were 6-2. After 14 weeks, they were 9-4. The Lions finished the season 12-5 and won the NFC North. It was the best season for the Motor City since 1991, 3 years before Jared Goff was even born. The Lions had home field advantage going into the playoffs and, with their winning record, hosted the wild card game. And guess who came to town? Goff's old team and his replacement, Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. It was a rough and tumble game, but Goff and the Lions emerged victorious over the team that had traded him, 24-23. It was a moment of vindication for the quarterback, who had not let the trade stop him from rising to the top. Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff both played well, but Goff's tale of redemption was the true story of this game. Detroit would host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the divisional round, the first time Detroit had ever hosted 2 playoff games in the same season in team history. Detroit played a well-executed game and had a commanding 31-17 lead early in the 4th quarter. Goff played well as the Lions held on for a 31-23 win. Detroit had momentum in their season that hadn't been seen since the days of Calvin Johnson. With their victory over the Buccaneers, the Lions were headed to the NFC Championship game in San Francisco. The energy was electric for Goff and his pride of Lions. Detroit took a commanding 24-7 lead going into the locker room for halftime. The 3rd quarter saw the tide turn for the Lions. The 49ers tied the score 24-24, scoring 21 unanswered points. Then in the 4th quarter, San Francisco pulled ahead with a 27-24 lead on a field goal, followed by another touchdown to make the score 34-24. Goff wasn't finished, though. He led a great effort to come back and pulled the Lions to within 3 points after throwing a 3-yard touchdown pass, but Detroit could not convert the onside kick. The San Francisco 49ers won 34-31, earning the Niners a trip to the Super Bowl and ending Goff's hopes of making it to the big stage again, at least for now. Despite leading the Lions on a meteoric rise in the 2023 season, Jared Goff did not receive enough votes for All-Pro or Pro Bowl honors. While he didn't pull NFL honors, Goff did get paid, and paid big. Detroit offered him a 4-year, $212 million contract extension. Jared Goff's story is not finished. This California kid who wanted to be Joe Montana, who went on to be the number 1 pick in the draft, is playing incredible football, while leading his team in the locker room as well. Jared Goff is living out his childhood fantasy and making number 16 very famous again. This story is only half written, so keep watching Goff and the Lions on their quest for their first Lombardi trophy. The kid from California who was Joe Montana in his backyard is good enough to lead the Lions to a Super Bowl victory, and 2024 may be his year to do it. Like Football Fix videos? Smash that like button and subscribe for more, and check out our other videos. We'll see you next time.